Okay, I'm back. We're going to demonstrate how to do a simple pretest loop using how. We will start with the while loop. Now, let's begin by uh, understanding, making a connection. A while loop is nothing but a repeated if statement. It's a repeated one-sided if statement. An if statement says one time, evaluate the condition. If the condition is false, branch around the block, execute the block. To repeat this, guess what's required? Simply, after you execute the block, just go back to the test again. That constitutes a while loop. So let's look at it again. So if we look at it from the while loop, it says evaluate the condition. Notice that I have a label here so that I can branch to it. So you must mark the beginning of the loop so that you can go back to it. And we evaluate the condition, branch on false around the body of the loop. The body of the loop. A better label for this would have been end loop. End loop is a better label. It reminds you that you have a loop. Also, a better label for this would be loop. So when you look at it, you know you have a pretest loop. All right. And so let's take a look at the code pattern. The code pattern is pretty clear that if we were to do this repeatedly, we were told that if we execute the body, we always go back up here. We know now that to go back to the while is unconditional, so we need an unconditional branch. So let's take the code that we had for the if statement and let's transform it. All right. A reminder, we have declared ourselves a constant variable called 0 just to make the comparison easier. That way, the 0 here, we will refer to the variable 0, which is in memory, and therefore we can make sure the accumulator holds the value of the variable. So, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to read the value of x. This part is good. And now this statement here, the load x, is the beginning of the process of evaluating the condition. So this is in effect where the loop begins. So we're just going to call it, if you want to, you can just call it while, if it makes you feel good. All right? All right? And we said what else? We said when the loop is over, we're going to call it end loop. So let's call this, okay, end loop. All right? So what do we do if the condition is true? We branch to end loop, which is down here. Notice the end loop doesn't necessarily need to correspond to a while statement, to a halt statement. It could be other code there. All right? But when you have a label, you must put an instruction on the same line. You cannot have a label without an instruction. So what are we to do now? We're saying if I'm in the body of the loop is here. I display x, I read another x, and what else? And then I must go back to repeat. How do I go back? It's just branch. Branch where? To the while. Okay? All right? So we have basically transformed the if statement into a while loop. And now let's see if it's going to work. So, see what we get here. So my bad. I'm in a hurry to do this thing. I'm going to enter some numbers. 4. 4 is coming out as output. 4, 3. I'm entering numbers as long as I'm greater than 0. I'm going to say 1, 0. Notice that I stop on 0. So what is the code doing? Is it not saying this? Read a number as long as the number is greater than 0. Print it and read. Print it and read. All right? I'm going to stop here. What is the key? The key is that a while loop is just a repeated if statement. It's an if statement logic that in which the consequence is immediately followed by a branch back to the top. Okay? And we will stop here very